I'm Rick with Rick's Restorations in Las Vegas, and I'm the guy that can restore anything. The pawn guys have been bringing me things for years, and they're trying to stump me one way or the other, and it still hasn't happened.
How's it going?
Going all right.
Okay.
A little slow going, but I think we're getting it a little bit.
We're out a little more than we should be. Okay, let me see the hammer you used. The hammerhead, see the hammer? See how it's rounded like that? But this hammer is not so good on the outside.
Hey, wait, hold on. Let's put this over there. Throw that on up there. How you been, bud?
Doing good, man.
Good to see you. Where'd you get this?
Someone came in the shop with it. 1950s BMC heavy-duty tractor.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. What do you want to do with it? You want to restore it?
For 6 seasons, Rick Dale and his crew at Rick's Restorations brought American history back to life, transforming rusty relics into stunning treasures. Millions tuned in every week to watch gas pumps, soda machines, and classic motorcycles get reborn on the channel's American Restoration. Then, without warning, it all came crashing down. Rick, his family, and his entire crew were gone. What really happened behind the scenes? Join us as we expose the real reason American Restoration ended. From Pawn Stars to Phenomenon. Before American Restoration dominated reality TV, Rick Dale was just a skilled craftsman running a small restoration shop in Las Vegas. His journey to television stardom began in the most unexpected way, through a connection with another History Channel juggernaut, Pawn Stars. In 2009, Pawn Stars premiered and kicked off a new wave of American fascination with vintage items. The show followed Rick Harrison and his family operating a pawn shop in Las Vegas, and whenever they needed expert consultation on antique items, they called Rick Dale. His first appearance came in the episode titled Time Machines, and something magical happened. Viewers didn't just want to see the items, they wanted to watch the restoration process. History Channel executives recognized gold when they saw it. Rick Dale possessed a rare skill for transforming beaten-up relics into museum-quality pieces. More importantly, he had something reality TV desperately needed: authenticity. This wasn't a guy auditioning to be on television. This was a craftsman who'd been restoring items since he was 9 years old, when his father pulled an old bicycle out of a neighborhood dumpster and challenged Rick to fix it. American Restoration premiered on October 25, 2010, and became an immediate cultural phenomenon. The show chronicled daily activities at Rick's Restorations, featuring Rick, his wife Kelly, who handled business operations, his son Tyler, his brother Ron, who worked as a picker, and crew members like Brettley, Rick's stepson, and Cowboy, the shop's metal polishing expert, described as the grumpiest guy Rick had ever met. What made the show special wasn't just the restorations, it was the family atmosphere. Rick's relationship with Tyler became a central storyline, with Rick hoping his son would one day take over the business. The banter between crew members felt genuine. The challenges they faced restoring decades-old items seemed real. At its peak, the show averaged 2.9 million viewers per week and aired in over 87 countries. Celebrity clients started rolling in: Billy Joel, Sammy Hagar, Jason Mraz, illusionists Lance Burton and David Copperfield, and NASCAR driver Greg Biffle all brought items to Rick's Restorations. The episode titled Pick, Pawn, and Polish drew 6.5 million viewers, the highest rating ever on History Channel at that time. Rick Dale had become a household name, the face of vintage American restoration. The show featured an incredible variety of projects. In any given episode, you might see them restoring a 1946 Harley-Davidson, a vintage Coca-Cola machine, antique gas pumps, jukeboxes, barber chairs, or even a NASA helmet. According to Rick, his shop typically worked on 6 to 12 projects at any given time, juggling customer deadlines, parts sourcing, and the complex technical challenges that came with bringing 70-year-old machinery back to life. Crossover episodes with other History Channel shows became common. Rick would drag junk to the Counting Cars crew or collaborate with American pickers. The History Channel had created an interconnected universe of vintage Americana, and Rick Dale sat at the center of it all. But success brought attention. And with attention came pressure from networks to create drama, to speed up timelines, and to be something other than what the show originally was, an honest look at the art of restoration. The producers were already planting the seeds that would eventually destroy everything Rick had built. When authenticity was questioned, here's the secret about reality television that networks don't want you to know. It's not real. And American Restoration, despite starting as an authentic look at Rick Dale's restoration business, gradually transformed into scripted entertainment masquerading as a documentary. Industry insiders revealed how reality TV actually works. The show was produced by Left Field Pictures, the same company behind Pawn Stars, and they brought the same manufactured drama formula to Rick's shop. Conversations with customers were scripted. Timelines were distorted to make restoration projects seem longer or more urgent than they actually were. Fans noticed customers being filmed twice, once when discussing the product, and a second time as the finished product was revealed, suggesting heavy producer involvement. The fake drama escalated with each season. Early episodes focused on the restoration process, showing detailed steps of how Rick and his crew brought items back to life. But producers pushed for more interpersonal conflict, more family drama, and more contrived situations. Viewers started complaining that they were seeing less actual restoration and more staged arguments. One particularly shocking example got caught by fans. Rick's brother Ron appeared on Pawn Stars selling a Coca-Cola machine, acting like he didn't know Rick personally. He deviously convinced the Pawn Stars crew to have the machine restored. But viewers knew Ron worked at Rick's restorations. The entire scene was fabricated, a cross-promotional stunt that shattered any remaining illusion of authenticity. Another incident involved a golf ball slot machine restoration. The original machine brought in by the customer was wasted beyond reasonable repair. So Rick searched for and purchased an identical model from a company called LA Slots in California, had it trucked to Las Vegas, and substituted it for the piece of junk. The show presented this replacement as the original restoration, deceiving viewers about what actually happened. Sources with knowledge of the production revealed the extent of producer control. Producers wouldn't let Rick keep doing restorations for his normal clientele. Instead, producers picked the people who would appear on the show and negotiated prices for restorations. Then the show would pay for the restorations, meaning Rick never actually received payment for the actual restoration work shown on television. The trade-off was that Rick and his crew were paid more money per episode than they would ever make if there was no show. But everything viewers saw on TV were decisions made for Rick. He had essentially become an actor, performing restoration work at the direction of producers rather than running his own business. The worst part? Tight, unrealistic deadlines. Episodes would show the crew under immense pressure to complete restorations in absurdly short time frames. Viewers who actually work in restoration pointed out that proper restoration of complex items can't be rushed without sacrificing quality. But producers needed that ticking clock to keep audiences engaged. Characters were introduced specifically for manufactured conflict. One reviewer mentioned the dramatic introduction of a character named Leonard, describing it as a grave and incredible stumble that prompted them to stop watching entirely. The show had transitioned from being about craftsmanship to being about fake interpersonal drama. By seasons 5 and 6, viewer complaints flooded online forums. "I don't care about who bought a dog or who gets in trouble at school, and I certainly don't care about any wedding crap," one frustrated fan wrote. I thought this was a show about restoration, not picking out a wedding dress." Another viewer complained, "You just see the item go from old and rusty to brand new. I guess if you like watching a bunch of grown men bickering about nothing, then watch it." Professional restorers were even more scathing. One electronic service engineer specializing in videotape recorders wrote, "It is just awful to see how they destroy those nice old things, removing every single nuance and original paint. They repaint using their own colors, which are too bright. They use wrong fonts and wrong colors. They change old, beautiful gears and buttons. The prices are something ridiculous." Rick Dale found himself trapped. He'd built a successful business over 3 decades, developed genuine expertise, and suddenly he was being told how to run his shop by television producers who cared more about ratings than craftsmanship. The passion that made the show special in the first place was being suffocated by the demands of manufactured reality TV. And it all came to a head when Rick Dale made a decision that would change everything. The breaking point. After 6 seasons of increasing producer control, mounting fake drama, and watching his craft be turned into a soap opera, Rick Dale reached his limit. When the History Channel approached him about Season 7, Rick refused to re-up his contract. He walked away from millions of dollars, and in doing so, he destroyed it. Sources close to the production revealed Rick's reasoning. He was tired of being treated like an actor rather than a craftsman. He was exhausted from the scripted drama that had transformed what he called a saccharine sitcom. He wanted control over his own business again and wanted to serve his actual customers rather than whoever producers selected for television value. But here's what made Rick's decision even more dramatic. He posted a video online thanking fans for their support and asking them to voice their disappointment on the American Restoration website. The video showed a man barely holding back tears, someone who genuinely loved what he did but could no longer do it under the History Channel's terms. History Channel's response was swift and brutal. They didn't try to negotiate or even attempt to address Rick's concerns. They simply moved forward without him, completely rebooting the show with a radically different format for Season 7. But Rick's departure wasn't just about him. His entire team, people who'd become fan favorites, were also fired. Rumors and gossip swirled about the real reasons for the shakeup. Some claimed Rick had become difficult to work with, and that declining ratings forced History Channel's hand. Others suggested Rick wasn't getting along with clients, though no evidence ever supported this claim. The truth was simpler and more damaging: a showdown between a craftsman who wanted authenticity and a network that prioritized entertainment value above all else. What makes Rick's stand particularly remarkable is the financial sacrifice involved. Reality TV stars on successful shows can earn anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 per episode. With American Restoration running 26 episodes per season, Rick was potentially walking away from over $1 million annually. But he did it anyway, choosing integrity over income. The 2-year gap between Season 6 and Season 7 suggests History Channel initially struggled with how to proceed. They had a successful show built entirely around one man's shop, one man's skills, and one man's family. How do you continue that show when that man refuses to participate? Their solution was more radical and destructive than anyone could have imagined. The Disastrous Reboot. January 1st, 2016. American Restoration returned for Season 7 with an entirely new concept. Instead of focusing on one shop, one family, or one cohesive narrative, History Channel decided to feature 5 separate restoration shops across the country. The new format highlighted Buddy Stroud, Dale Wachsler, Andy Bowman Jr., Steve Hale, and Bob Halliday, each owning their own restoration business. Fans were shocked, confused, and angry. The show they'd loved for 6 years had been completely gutted and reimagined. And the reaction was immediate and overwhelmingly negative. The new format focused primarily on vehicles, which fans found particularly frustrating given History Channel already had counting cars for automotive restoration. The variety that made Rick's show special, restoring everything from soda machines to slot machines to motorcycles to gas pumps, was gone. Now it was just cars, trucks, and motorcycles. Boring, repetitive, indistinguishable from a dozen other shows already on cable. But the bigger problem was chemistry, or the complete lack thereof. Rick Dale and his family had created something genuine over 6 seasons. Viewers felt like they knew Tyler, Ron, Cowboy, and Brettley. They'd watched Tyler grow up on screen. They'd laughed at Ron's laid-back attitude. They'd appreciated Cowboy's grumpy perfectionism. The new shops had none of that connection, none of that history, none of that family atmosphere that made the original show compelling. Jumping between 5 different shops also destroyed narrative cohesion. Just as viewers started to understand one shop's dynamic, the show would cut to a completely different location with entirely different people working on entirely different projects. There was no continuity, no ongoing storylines, no reason to care about any individual restoration or any specific craftsman. One viewer summed it up perfectly. I was in shock. No connection to the audience. Focused mainly on vehicles and over multiple garages. Jump, jump, jump on the project. Someone should have been fired in management for changing everything. The new format also lacked the educational component that made the original show valuable. Early seasons of American Restoration walked viewers through restoration processes step by step. They explained techniques, showed problem-solving, educated audiences about vintage Americana. The reboot skipped all that, showing items before and after with minimal explanation of what actually happened during restoration. Even viewers who tried to give the new format a chance couldn't sustain their interest. Forum discussions revealed people tuning out after 1 or 2 episodes. I really didn't like any of the new people here and came close to turning it off. One viewer admitted, "I'll give it one more before throwing the switch." The ratings told the story History Channel didn't want to hear. Without Rick Dale and his family, American Restoration was just another restoration show in an increasingly crowded market. The magic that drove 6.5 million people to watch, pick, pawn, and polish had vanished. History Channel tried everything to salvage the show. They maintained high production values. They featured interesting projects like George Clinton bringing in a 1920s piano or David Copperfield requesting restorations for items in his museum collection. They even brought in NASCAR connections with Kyle Busch and Marcus Smith, commissioning a trophy for the History 300 race. None of it mattered. The show's Wikipedia page is telling. Seasons 1 through 6 each have detailed episode descriptions, character information, and extensive documentation. Season 7? Barely mentioned. It's as if the entire television industry wanted to forget the disastrous reboot ever happened. By April 1st, 2016, just 3 months after the Season 7 premiere, American Restoration was canceled. The show that once dominated History Channel's lineup, that spawned international viewership and celebrity appearances that made Rick Dale a household name, was over. Dead. Killed by a network that thought they could replicate success by removing the very elements that created it in the first place. A source close to the production called it mutual destruction through brinkmanship. Rick Dale refused to compromise his integrity, and History Channel refused to give up creative control. The result? They destroyed something valuable that millions of people loved. Both sides lost, but viewers lost most of all. Rather than continuing to operate a business that had been fundamentally changed by television exposure, he pivoted to something completely different. Rick opened a laser cut and embroidery business called My Best Font Forward Creations in Las Vegas, primarily run by his wife, Kelly. The business focuses on Christmas hangings, laser-cut decor, and custom embroidery, a complete departure from the restoration work that made him famous. He also turned to writing, penning a book called Classic Soda Machines that currently has 4 out of 5 stars on Amazon. Rick seems to be enjoying a quieter life these days, still consulting about vintage items and dabbling as a metal artist, but on a much smaller scale than the full-size restoration jobs he used to tackle. His social media presence reflects this transition. Rick used to be active on Twitter and YouTube, but he hasn't posted on either platform in years. He maintains a fairly active Instagram account showing occasional fabrication work, but it's nothing like the volume and scale of restorations from the television days. Kelly Dale, Rick's wife, has found success as a licensed realtor. She occasionally hosts car shows and makes appearances, leveraging the recognition from American Restoration into a different career path. It's a smart pivot, using fame to open doors in an entirely different industry. Tyler Dale, Rick's son, who was being groomed to take over the restoration business, has evolved his skills in woodworking, welding, and metalwork. He got married to a woman named Haley in 2022, an interior designer, and they appear to live in Las Vegas together. Tyler's Instagram shows his work as a fabricator, but there's barely anything about restoration or the family business that once defined his identity. Brettley Otterman, Rick's stepson, actually found the most success post-show. He leaned into his sandblasting and soda blasting skills, starting his own business called Clean Works Mobile Media Blasting. The company now has 3 blasting rigs and appears to be thriving. Brettley lives in Las Vegas with his wife Steph and their 3 children, and unlike the main restoration business, his company successfully transitioned from television exposure to independent operation. Ron Dale, Rick's brother, has chosen to live a quiet life building custom bicycles, staying almost entirely out of the public eye. Cowboy, the lovable grouch who did metal polishing, similarly disappeared from public view after the show ended. There have been unsubstantiated rumors over the years that Rick's restorations would make a comeback. Rick even posted videos of himself restoring an antique sign with the caption, "You wanted me back. Well, here I am." He launched a website, learnfromrickdale.com, offering training, private access for members with live Q&A sessions, and weekly check-in videos. But the actual restoration shop, the physical location where history was brought back to life for 6 glorious seasons, remains closed. What do you think about Rick leaving the show he worked so hard to build? Would the comeback be as intriguing as the original? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.